A little bit of a serious one, I think. A number of things on my mind at the moment. We obviously covered watches in the last one. What I want to talk about here, and anybody watching this overseas may well not be aware, we had a TV debate come questioning of the two main party leaders here in the UK, David Cameron, who is the Conservative leader and Prime Minister by proxy, as it were, and Ed Milliband, who is the heir apparent to number 10 and leader of the Labour Party. What basically happened, if you didn't see it, it was co-hosted by Sky News and Channel 4. The inquisitor was a guy called Jeremy Paxman, who is one of the anchors on a programme called Newsnight on BBC Two here in the UK. So you've got a number of organisations involved there. And Jeremy Paxman fired questions at both of these guys, and then the audience who had sent in questions, I assume via social media and email and that kind of thing, got the chance to speak to these two guys, ask them questions. Now, the problem that I have with what happened last night was that it's my ongoing belief that people are naive enough to believe that a politician is going to give a straightforward, easily understood, concise answer to any question that they're asked. They are trained by their spin doctors and by their trainers to avoid a question where they can. If they can't avoid a question, they put a positive spin on it where they can. If they can't put a positive spin on it, they do what the Tories, Conservatives, are doing here in Britain at the moment, which is not just a Tory trait, it's every governmental trait, which is they blame the previous government for the problems, and they've not had long enough to put it right. So my message to anybody who's watching this, what you need to remember, when May comes along and we all pop out and vote, we put our little cross in the box and pop the box in the ballot box, is that we as an electorate get what we deserve. And what I mean by that is, and I'll qualify this first by saying I don't vote. I've not voted for 10 years. And the reason I don't vote is because nothing changes. So what's my evidence for that? Well, when you stood in a pub, or you're in an area with a number of other people, or you're at a dinner party or whatever, there is always something to complain about regarding the country in which you live. And they're always the same. The schools aren't good enough. The NHS isn't good enough. The tax is too high. The tax is too low for people who earn huge amounts of money. The politicians are corrupt, so the politicians are taking bribes. The politicians are in bed with big business. The road tax is too high. Car insurance is too high. The road surface is a state. You name it. Now, the question is, how long have you been asking these questions? How long have you had these gripes? Well, I'm 54 years old, and I can remember for a good 40 of those 54 years, people have been asking the same questions. Things don't change. Now, what's the evidence for that? Well, the evidence is, and the best way that I can demonstrate it is, when government is dissolved, when a date for the general election is set, control over the country as a whole, or maybe I should go the country, is handed over to the senior civil servants of Britain. Now, during the 2-3 weeks that government is dissolved, let me ask you a question. Does the country grind to a halt? Do the bins stop being collected? Is there no fire service? Do hospitals close down? Does the standard of education our children get disappear? The answer to those questions is, of course, no. Well, and why is the answer no? Is because under normal circumstance, from day to day, the country is indeed run by senior civil servants. These people are so powerful that they don't have to report to anyone. No one. And the people that you see at Prime Minister Questions Time in the week are, for want of a better phrase, figureheads who put forward legislation and policies that need to be authorised and then implemented by civil servants. And it's the civil servants who make and ensure that policy is adhered to and monitored throughout every electoral 5 years here in Britain. So what I'm actually saying, if I'm saying anything, is that do we really need a political system? Certainly the first past the post system that we have now. What we saw last night, I believe, was Cameron, who is without any doubt a posh boy, who comes from an Eton background. He's got all his posh mates around him who are all very well heeled, very well educated, and don't really care about the rest of us who are not necessarily poor, but certainly not well off in any stretch of the imagination, and they are completely devoid of any knowledge about how hard life can be for a large percentage of the people in the UK. Jeremy Paxman asked Cameron about zero-hour contracts. Needless to say, he sidestepped the direct question, which was, could you survive on a zero-hour contract? Cameron didn't answer at all in any way, didn't attempt to answer. He also didn't attempt to answer Paxman's question about food banks, why there are so many food banks. He just tried to put it across that he was concerned about the welfare of the people in the United Kingdom. And if you believe that, you're a fool. I'm sorry, but you are. Milliband, I've always said that Milliband is a complete and utter liability. He sounds like a fool. He looks like he's got special needs. We would have been better with his brother, but had the current incumbent, Mr. Milliband, not had the backing of the TUC and got the block vote, he wouldn't be in there anyway. So he has to thank his lucky stars that that was the case. Whilst Milliband is at the head of the Labour Party, Labour, I believe, is going to struggle to win the next election. What I want to say is, to tag on to something I said earlier, is that whatever government we get, we deserve. Over the last 50 years here in Britain, we've seen all major industry sold off. We have seen rail lines demolished by the Beeching report. We have seen the rail service sold off and privatised. We are seeing the NHS being slowly but surely privatised. We have been involved in countless illegal wars, and how has this happened? Well, this has all happened at the behest of us, the people of the UK, who have put these people into power by giving them our vote. So anything that's happened that you're not happy with, anything that's currently happening, or anything that you think will happen, take responsibility for. It is your fault. You are the people who vote. You are the people who don't look into the manifestos that these people put out there. And you are the people who are sold the image, and you believe the spin that the idiots that you saw last night on television throw out there. So if you are unhappy after May and things aren't going the way that you had hoped they would go, then just stand up, go to your nearest mirror, survey the person who's looking back at you, and accept the fact that it is indeed your fault and the fault of all of those like you who have been suckered in to a system that doesn't work, it's broken, and is laughingly known as democracy. Democracy in this country doesn't exist. Democracy only exists one day every 5 years, and that's because it has to. One day in every 5 years. The rest of the time, because you've given them your mandate, they can do anything they like that will make their rich mates richer and the rest of us poorer. So that's basically it. Do not be taken in. Do not say that you understand what they're talking about, because you don't. Because they don't understand how we work in the real world. So don't be pulled into the nonsense and the spin and the political rhetoric that all these boys spill out on a daily basis. Please, please think for yourself. Try to find some way to affect change in this country. I have no axe to grind. I will not promote anybody at all. I'm just trying to awaken people to the fact that no matter who is in number 10, we, the people, the normal people who work hard for a living or who are subject to state support, because like me, if you're disabled, are being dictated to on a daily basis, and our lives are going to be worse for any parliamentary bod who's in number 10 Downing Street. I know that's a bit serious for today, but it is my second video. I did say that I did want to say other things today. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong. Don't just rant. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why you think democracy works, and more importantly, why democracy exists. And please don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be covering lots of weird and wonderful subjects over the time on YouTube here. So press the red button and subscribe. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye bye.